location underneath the hood where it is close enough to the engine that we can reach with a vacuum hose, and we can have access to the electrical connection, which we'll connect in. And we'll go over in more detail later when we're doing an install. We're actually going to take you on a couple installs and show you how we do it. And so it has to be close enough for us to get those electrical connections, but we want to keep the unit away from the heat of the engine sufficiently so that we don't cause it to boil over inside. And sometimes that can be tricky, but that's the number one goal. The second goal that we have is finding a good vacuum source, a vacuum line in the engine that we can tap into, that we are able to then control the amount of pressure going through the system, that is air pressure, to a targeted amount, in which case we'll use a gauge like this one that you can purchase at any place like Checker Auto or Sears, typically for under $30. And you're able to connect this to the system, and we'll show you later today in our shoot on site how we adjust the vacuum and make sure that we're getting a proper PSI, and that's key towards getting the system to work. And then lastly, the goal then is to get the wiring harness hooked up and put a few key elements in so that the control box in your dashboard is accessible to you. And there's a couple other issues that will come up when we get into more depth about how to install. But that's the basic three goals: is placement of the unit, a good vacuum line, and an accessible electrical connection to the electrical system. Now, normally what I like to do when we start doing the install, and Brent has been on some installs with me before, and we've gone into some detail, and I know Rick has quite a bit of experience with the hybrid systems as well. The first thing that we normally like to do when we go on the system is we will hook your car up to a unit like this one, and we were able to get this locally. You can find these units for under a few $100s at any auto parts store or Sears or those kind of stores that sell auto mechanics equipment. And we will hook this up to the computer in your car and get a baseline of the working, what's the term I'm looking for here? The long-term fuel trim, or on this system, it'll be like the LTFT, I think is the reading. LTFT meaning long-term fuel trim. Mm-hmm. And what we want to find out is if the car is running lean or running rich. And if your car, when we hook up a system like this, if your car is already running rich, then we know that we're going to have some difficulty getting benefit out of the hydrogen system. And in fact, what we want to do, the target is to try to get your car running lean so that it's using less gas and relying on the hydrogen and the oxygen to cause the gas to burn more efficiently. And some cars will have some problems, so the first thing that we're looking for is that long-term fuel trim number. Once we know what's going on with that, we can make some decisions about whether we're going to have to do a basic installation or if we're going to need to do some more work down the line. Now, another aspect about the install process that we come upon frequently, and Brent will be able to tell that he's seen this, is that we'll do a check on the car and it'll be running lean, but for some reason we're still not getting good results. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of things that can happen, and we've been able to resolve those problems by doing a couple of things. But first of all, that's the first thing that we're going to do with your cars. Get a baseline on one of these type of systems. And you need to make sure that the computer scan tool that you get can work with OBD2, or that's the onboard diagnostic computer that is in the modern cars from approximately 1996 until now. There's a few cars in the interim between 98, 99 that were still OBD1, but the OBD2, or the onboard diagnostic 2 computer, is the one that really gives us the most problems. Interestingly enough, and I don't know if you've had this experience, Rick, or not, But we found that